know, automations are a big part of this, obviously. When the first time they come in on the submission side, they're going to get an autoresponder, right? An auto email and an SMS. And I think a key component of this is realizing that customizing that piece is going to be essential to your success. You know, if you go in there with this mentality of you just like set it and forget it, chances are nothing's going to happen, right? Or you get lucky every once in a while. It happens all the time, but you don't want to have luck. You want to be intentional about creating an experience in that moment and constantly measuring it. Because if you just allow it to be and you're like, well, I mean, they're getting it, I can see it's being opened, but nothing's happening, then at some point you got to analyze that and say, well, is it creating the call to action that I want it to? So I think a big part of this is acknowledging that you can go in there and create automations. You can go in there and add actions. It's not just the seller drip campaign, but this is specifically for any ad you're running, whether it's a buyer or seller or a listing, and especially the ones that don't have automations, you want to create actions. And I think part of that is realizing how to do that properly and how to set that up. And you know, you don't want to allow just anything to go out or nothing to go out. So Troy, I know you were going to speak to something that's relevant in there. What's the difference between a parallel and it's the other one is I think sequence that we're looking at. You got to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself there, buddy.
If you're creating a new automation, it will be set up in parallel by default. So what you want to do, I don't know if you have that up there, Marcus. Perfect. So the difference between parallel and sequence is if it's set up in sequence, each of the automations, each of the emails and text messages will actually go out one after the other, right? Based on the delay. So the delay from the previous one. If you do it in parallel, they'll all go out at the same time. So it's a really important thing in there. So you can see here where it says right at the top, trigger, actions in parallel. You want to just change that to make sure that it's actions in sequence. And then that way, all your text messages, emails are not all firing all at the same time and you're bombarding your lead. So really important step in there.
So what he's meaning is if you leave it in parallel like this and you set up a bunch of automations, they're all going to be sending out at the same time. So you're going to get like 2 emails, 3 texts all coming at the same time. Where if you create in a sequence, now they're all meant to go out in sequence depending on the time frame you have set it up before, right? So you'd set up your email and then that would automatically send up. Then 2 minutes later, you have a text message that you put in that would send out. And then maybe you have a text message that you want to send out 3 minutes from there after that first text message and so forth. So make sure when you go into your funnels, because it always starts in, I think the best way to edit any sort of automation is to go in through My Funnels and then consider the ads you have running currently right now that are turned on and click edit. If you have a bunch of seller ads, they're all going to be the same. So one change is going to affect all of them. But if, again, you can see here, this is set up in parallel on this one. So you'd want it to change that to in sequence. Does that make sense, guys? I think hopefully that would really help. So then, you know, automatically the best thing to do in any case when you're creating automations is to go through your own automation as if you were the lead. So you can see what's firing as if you were a homeowner or a buyer clicking on your ad, submitting your information, and then you go to your SMS and you go to your email and kind of see how that all looks. Keep yourself on your drip campaign too, so you can see what's happening and where it's going and what filters and so forth. That's the key there. Because we're always trying to mess around with these automations to make sure they're getting open. And some people go like aggro on emojis and then they're all going the spam filters. So, you know, I would stick to 1 emoji in the subject line. Don't go 3 or 4 or 5 emojis. You're bound to get in a filter if you do that. Any questions on that so far, guys? Pretty straightforward, or maybe you want to go in a little bit deeper there. Yeah.
The ones you have set up, like automatically, you automatically have them as sequence, aren't they? Isn't that default?
That should be default, yeah. Unless, you know, you go in there and creating new ones. But,
right, new ones you should change. Okay.
Yeah, and you know, you might, I think eventually it'll all go to sequence. We're gonna make that change in the system. But just go in there and check to see what's happening on that side. Now, as far as automations go, has everybody kind of come in there and changed it? Like, you know, Whitney, Wendy, what's your automation look like right now? Like, or do you have what's your typical first automation email sending out?
Yeah, so me and Logan set it up with the video, so they automatically get the, you know, welcome video from me, and inviting them to my Facebook page and stuff like that, and then they also get a text. So I think they get those two things at the same time. I'm not sure now, but everything has a time on it, so I just assume it was sequence. And then we have it to where I do the video CMA and I send it to a follow-up boss, and then 4 days later they get another video from me saying, you know, talking about the CMA and trying to set the appointment again, and then it goes on from there. So I think it's sequence.
I'll go into your account, Wendy, and look at it right now. We can share.
Would be the default, and essentially the way it's working is a combination of both. It's sequence in that all the emails are being fired in sequence, and then happening in parallel are the text messages as well, right? That's why it's broken up the way it does. So if you look at the automations, it starts with the emails and goes through all the emails, and then there's another little section that does say also basically happening in parallel, and then there's the text messages that start at the beginning with the 3-minute delay, because it's happening at the same time as that first email, essentially. Right, so that's happening in sequence on its own, in parallel with the other sequence. A lot of confusion there, but basically the idea is if you use the defaults, you don't need to worry about it.
So here you go, right? So you can look at the flow here.
Yeah, it is parallel. Okay, so it's adding a tag.
And that's on top, but then if you look at the workflow starts here, this is where you're looking at this part of it.
The top part's basically saying there's two things happening in parallel with one another, emails and text messages. Then the emails section is happening in sequence with itself, as is the texting. And Elizabeth had just asked, while you're in that section there, Marcus, can you scroll down a little bit to the text messages for me?
Yeah.
For anybody who's curious as to how to make edits to anything here, as you're in this section, if you go and click on any of the emails, you'll be able to edit the emails. And same with the text messages. If you go down to where the texting starts here, you'll be able to see, hey, contact name. Obviously, that's going to pull in the contact name from their lead form. This is Julie. I work with, whatever your name is. So you can even take the profile name first, yours, and remove that and put in your own name. I've been finding that that's been more likely to help that first message get delivered. The fewer, right? Because I think if we have too many of those little links in there, maybe that's what's causing some of the spam happening on that first text. So
yeah, since I changed it up, I haven't gotten that "who is this" anymore.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I just changed it for you.
I think that's wise. And then if you want to change Julie's name for Elizabeth, you were asking that, it's right there. So hi, contact name, this is Julie. Now with that in mind, and I can work with you as well on this, Elizabeth, Julie is just that name that we've obviously all been using, and it works phenomenally well. You don't want to make it your own name, right? Because you're essentially going to be handing this you're going to be talking in the third person as Julie, right? And you're going to be handing this from Julie, your assistant, over to yourself. That's kind of part of why this works so well. So can you change the name Julie? Absolutely. You can change it to anything that you wish. You're completely in control of this. However, I think that you and I should probably have a one-on-one chat first, just so I can get a better understanding of why you want to change Julie, what you'd like to change it to, and I can give you some better suggestions. Obviously, if you want to unmute yourself or put in the chat feature what your thoughts are, we can all kind of mastermind around that. That's what we're here for. But once again, I can meet with you one-on-one and we can go through that, because Julie's just that name. It seems to work really well.
Yeah, and here's a cool thing. Like, you know, for most people, they leave that, just let me know if I can help, and then you get a bunch of people that say, who is this, right? And that's not what you want, especially if for some reason or another they don't get the first text message. So what Wendy did right here, which I really like, is it says, Julie again with Wendy's office, just want to let you know that Wendy just emailed you a quick intro video. She will also be sending a video about your home's value. These emails will be coming from, you know, this email. So if you don't see them, check your spam folder. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
And the beauty is that the video is embedded in her first email that goes out before this text message is sent automatically. So there's no doubt that email with the video embedded has already been sent. It's for surely done. So when they get this text, it's like, oh, I haven't seen that. What's going on? If they check their email and it's not there, they've been, told to check their spam as well. So you're increasing the likelihood of them responding via text because you're not going to get who is this, what, you know, that text message clears that up. And also they're more likely to view your video because once again, if it's in spam, they have a reason to go check it there. So that's perfect.
Yeah, and I just, in the chat feature right there, I just gave you guys both text messages, the second one and then the first one. So that'll be helpful for you.
Yeah, one of the things I always tell people, you can be as big or as little as you want to be on the internet. So what's wrong with adding another free person to your team? And then the other thing is on the handover. Nobody wants to feel like they passed over or handed over, like, oh, they're not good enough to work with me or whatever. So by virtue of having a team, Julie can do the handover, whether it's handed over to the assistant doing the follow-up or yourself. It's just such a better intro or an easier way to do it. I do referrals off of mine. So when I turn around and say the team will get a hold of you, when they say, oh yeah, this is such and such from the Premier Houses team, it's just a smoother handover to whoever it is that's taking the lead.
Yeah, and quickly here, Adam, you were asking, should you put in your actual assistant's name? You can play with that. One reason I don't like that is that if Alicia, your actual assistant, is having any forward-facing or client communication, I guess I would say, from her number or your office number, now there's another number for her. So if she's ever, you know, actually speaking with clients through her own cell number, through an office number, and then they start getting texts from Alicia from a different number, they try to call it back, they're going to get this number, you know, is not in service, or this number is not currently accepting calls, I think is what it says. And it's not ideal. You kind of you can almost stage your assistants then. You know, Julie's your intro assistant. She's new, right? Alicia is your upgraded assistant. So there's a hierarchy here. There's going to be, Julie is the first voice or the first, you know, contact they receive. And when they're ready for Alicia, great, they get passed to Alicia. Now when they're ready for Adam, now, you know, you pop in and really take it over. So there's kind of a hierarchy there. And I think that makes sense for most setups. But once again, play with everything and we can help you kind of test different things. And if you're ever getting, you know, or if you're not getting the type of responses and the type of, you know, sequencing that we're expecting, let's go ahead and change it. But I think that would answer that.
I got, Wendy, I pulled open your email because I love it already. I love that background. So
that's my she shed.
Yeah. Hey, this is cool. I mean, this is for everybody to see because this is, look at, when you look at going into your automations, a lot of people do it from the email. Again, we suggest to go into My Funnels and just click edit. And then when you actually click on there it goes, you pull it up and then you can make changes from within this email template itself. So, you know, perfect job. Your Facebook home valuation 4, right? You changed that a little bit, which I love. And then kept it short and simple. And then you have always a little bit of text context. So there you go. Hi, pulls in the name. Just want to let you know I received your Facebook request for the property valuation of, and I'm on it. A nice, short, quick intro, right? If you don't mind, we can play it for everybody. It's up to you.
I don't care.
Okay, awesome. And then, you know, personally, you're speaking my love language right now when you say meet me on Facebook, right? Because I love that connection on Facebook. I think it ultimately goes full circle where it all got started. So you have your personal Facebook right there, which I think is brilliant. Are there any updates or renovations that I should be aware of? One question. That's it. One short question. Boom. And then you've got your nice email signature in there, and your brand, and that's it. I mean, that's as awesome as it gets. Okay. We don't need to go any deeper. Maybe you go a little bit deeper in your day 3 email, perhaps, or in your personalized email, but don't try to you know, get everything in one email, because if you do that, chances are they're going to be like, whoa, this is crazy. No way. I'm not want this. So that's the kind of I would say, a game-winning formula right there that I really love. Anybody want to talk about that? Before I play it, I can play it, but I think that ultimately would be the ideal autoresponder for everybody to see.
The one good thing that's also in there is you have a good call to action. So meet me on Facebook. I see a lot of emails and they don't have a good call to action. And then it was like, well, you know, I don't get anybody replying to anything I send out. Well, they don't know that they need to. So whatever your call to action is, whether it's like, meet me on Facebook, send me a text message, reply to this email, whatever you want them to do, call it out. You know, if they want to book you into your calendar, then have your calendar link in there. call out the calendar link, right? Have them guide them to what you want them to do, and you're more likely to get a response from the individual, because then they're like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do, and then they're going to do it. Don't just assume that they're going to email you if you don't call it out. So really important thing, and only one call to action is the best thing to kind of do in there. If you do multiple, then people don't know what to do.
The other thing nice is it's so short. I'm looking at it in my mind. It's not a mini movie. It says 20 something seconds. I'm like, hey, I didn't got to look at it later because it's 3 minutes, 20 seconds. Oh yeah, boom. In the back of my mind, I can get through it in a hurry. I'm gonna look at it.
I love it.
I stole it from that girl. I don't remember her name.
From Marley, maybe?
Yes, Marley.
Yeah, Marley's been great. Marley was one of the first people that we always come up with these crazy ideas. We're like, oh, I wish somebody would just do all this stuff. And then she just kind of just did it. And I think it was on Marcus's suggestion, and Marley just did it. And we all watched it. We're like, she's perfect. And so she's done a bunch of videos now. And I mean, it's people like yourself as well, Wendy, and everybody here is 100% is sometimes you just have to get over that nervousness, that feeling of, I'll never be able to do these videos, or somebody else has done it and they nailed it, I'll never do that. No, just do it. Just do it. And the beauty of this is that it's you, it's your personality, it's real, and people aren't looking, and I've said this a million times before, but I'll say it again. People aren't looking for that slick agent, that stuffed suit. They're looking for a real person. And there's always going to be a handful of people that watch your video and don't like you, don't like your energy. It's going to happen. Deal with it. Right? But who cares? You're going to show up at their door and they're going to have that same feeling anyways. And you're going to go through your whole listing presentation. They're not going to feel your energy, and they're not going to want to use your services. It happens. It happens every day. But there's going to be considerably more people that feel that they can relate to you. It's like they seem like a real person, right? So even if you're slightly uncomfortable, especially at first on camera, it's fine. It just highlights the fact that you're real. You're a real person. Right? Your job isn't to be on camera. Your job is to help them sell their home. Great, not a problem. Your job is to build a relationship, become trustworthy. It happens on video.
Right, and I picked it because I was friend requesting people before I even started StreetText through Loco, and like everybody just thought I was some crazy stalker. And now you're like just saying, this is what I'm doing, and I'm gonna find you, and if not, find me. You know what I mean? And then it's not so crazy. And
You know what?
Friend request more.
And that's brilliant, Wendy. And hopefully what you're doing is when you friend request them, you're dropping them into a list, right?
Yes. Yep.
Awesome. And then following up with the Facebook message as well, just in case they go to that message request folder, or if they accept your friend request, there it is.
Yep.
Right. And so that's an awesome best practice. Let's watch it for everybody to see. And then we can kind of share what everybody's doing, and we'll go from there. So here's Wendy's video. So again, when someone clicks on that video from their email, it's kind of looking like this, right? And then it would open up this tab, and ultimately this is what they would see.
Hi, I'm Wendy with LB Sweet Homes Realty. I got your request for the home price valuation, and I am on it. I also attached a link below.
Oh, internet, hold on. I'm gonna replay it. Okay.
Hi, I'm Wendy with LB Sweet Homes Realty. I got your request for the home price valuation, and I am on it. I also attached a link below.
Oh, well, it should be working. It's not, but you get the, oh, there it goes.
And we'll be sending you a quick friend request very soon. I just want to make sure that you have a chance to meet me. Well, I hope to talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Oh, I love the peace sign at the end. Love it. That's cool.
I think that, and once again, this goes for each and every one of you guys. The whole idea here is to put your personality out there. That's exactly what this is. It's you. It's real, right?
And I screenshotted that, and that's part of my signature block because I wanted to like make sure that, you know, the branding.
Well, and you can tell you seem fun in that video. So if I'm choosing a realtor, who do I want? Do I want Mr. Serious in a suit telling me I'm going to sell your home in 90 days or else, you know, I want somebody who I feel like I can trust, somebody who's going to basically hold my hand through one of the most important decisions of my life. Right. So it needs to be professional, but it also needs to be a little bit of fun, I think. But more than anything, it just needs to be you. And if you're at all concerned with doing it, just do it. Right. You don't have to choose to use it. Just do the videos. Send them to your coach. Put them in the insider group if you're feeling brave. Right. Let the rest of the community kind of watch it. And I say this to everybody as well. If you've said 82 times and you didn't catch it, right? I'll catch it and somebody else will catch it. And it's not gonna be a negative conversation. It's just gonna say, I love this, I like this. Try to shorten it. A 62-minute video isn't gonna get played, right? You just don't say so many times. Other than that, you nailed it. Don't read off a piece of paper. There's all these different things that we know to look for to help you make things better, but you don't get better on your first attempt, right? You get better.
And I'm horrible. I am horrible at this, actually. And I use Big View. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's like, so you type it up and it scrolls through your phone. So that was done on my phone and I read it, but I did it like 40 times. So it kind of seemed like I knew what I was saying. So it's not as easy as it looks, but I need the script because I'll start saying so. My thing is not it's so.
After a while, Wendy, after a while, you won't even think about it anymore. In the beginning, yes, it feels forced and scripted, but once you start doing it and making it an everyday part of your communication, that's why if you're doing the Facebook Messenger, continue with the video message from there as well, right? Because it's all about connection. It's all about connection. Nothing is more connection than body language and tonality and then getting to see your personality. So I would say make that a habit, not only on the email autoresponders, but then the personal emails that you're sending out. Because you're a BombBomb user, it makes sense to use the screen recording side of this too. So you're actually, next step maybe is starting with a picture of their home, walking through the friend request you just sent them, showing them where the message request folder is, right? So they know like, hey, if you don't have to be my friend, but there is a message in your message request folder as well, right? And I can totally get you that home evaluation that way too, right? So you can kind of show them through the email, video, and the screen recording where you want everything to go, especially if your intention is to go to Facebook Messenger.
One thing I want to say also though about videos, when you say the human side of things, I've left mistakes in mine because it was so funny, it made me laugh. So I'd be like, blah, blah, okay, I meant to do that. And so, but what I really meant to say, because one of the things, think about that, at the end of I'll just say Marvel, everybody looks at the outtakes or they look at the mistakes at the end of it, and you're laughing almost more at the trailers at the end than the beginning. So now you've got their attention. The message is still coming across because you have to remember at the end of the day, you're here to deliver a message. And when they see you make that mistake and you just laugh it off, when you laugh at yourself, people appreciate that even more because it does show it's you.
Yeah, we like people that we have things in common with. So it's really about when you have that video, if you're not putting any video in, you're not giving anybody a chance to have a relationship with you. So oftentimes we'll see, and I'll call some people out in here. I know Grant was saying, well, Ira, I'm an older man now. Like, people aren't gonna, he didn't want to be on camera. He's on camera here and I'm calling him out. And I said, there's some people that aren't gonna wanna work with a younger person. They're gonna wanna work with someone who's more wise, that they relate to, that they have something in common with. So it's really about putting yourself out there, which can be a little bit vulnerable because some people are gonna say, hey, I don't feel like I have anything in common with you. I don't wanna work with you. But on the other end, your commonality is what's going to connect you. So people are looking for someone that they can have a relationship and have commonality with. So you give people that chance when you put your video in for them to say, hey, I have something in common with that person. I feel like I can relate with that person. You take it from being this automated transaction. Like I hear a lot of people say when Julie sends that first text out and the person says, oh, I'm not interested anymore. That's just a complete defense mechanism because they thought they were getting something instantaneous. And we have this sense of obligation to people. So now that it's not instantaneous and you're going to do something for me, they're scared to be connected to you through obligation. So what they need to hear from you is not, okay, I'll leave you alone. They need to hear, no, it's okay. I understand. You probably thought this was automated. And they'll say, yeah, I kind of did. And I'm not really interested right now. Well, that's fine. This is no obligation. I'd love to offer the service to you as part of what I do in our community. So it's really like just relating with people and where they're coming from and providing yourself this platform to be able to show that we have things in common. We think the same. That means we can work together. That's what they're trying to figure out. Do we have something in common?
I love it. And that's why the message side of this is so huge and the Facebook side of this, because if you go and intentionally look at their profile, you're going to find a lot in common. If you're intentional about it, you're going to find mutual friends, things that you both love, perhaps as a sports team, perhaps you're a foodie, who knows, right? Like you can make that connection. That's where it's basically winning friends and influencing people 101. So I think don't stop on the autoresponder. Take it to day 3. Maybe create your own automations in sequence that you want, and keep on going with as many automations as you possibly want. Always include a call to action and a question to be asked. Hey Jay, if you want to unmute yourself there, my friend, I've been waiting to hear your story because I know some people heard it in the insider group, but Jay's been with us for less than a month, and he's had some cool wins this year. Tell us about what's happened, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi everyone. So first month of joining StreetText, or during the trial period, I was like, I would only pay for this thing if I actually got some results, right? Because I don't want to fall into another one of those great, amazing marketing employees. So basically, I got multiple leads, like about 20 leads during my trial, and started both the seller conversion ones and the buyer conversion templates. For the seller, all that was sent out was in the initial stages was the initial email. And the lady saw the email, saw that a real estate agent was actually contacting them because of the ad. I hadn't even set up my video yet. And she was like, hey, talking to her husband, hey, like this real estate agent is trying to talk to us, like call him back. So basically the next day he's like, okay, fine, I'll call this guy back. And he actually called me and said, hey, we're thinking about listing. I saw that you're trying to contact us and said you could help. Why don't we talk? I was like, okay, yeah, let's talk. When's a good time for you? So we set up an appointment, got the listing, and basically it's all ready to list. We're just waiting on a few other things. So that was a huge win. And for the buyer one, it's pretty crazy. So I did a super simple, looking for homes under $599 in Bellingham, my town. And, like 5 people signed up. And one of them, just one, gave me her email as well as phone number. So I called her back in about 3 minutes of receiving that. And I was like, hey, tell me about what you want, do my whole thing. And I realized that it's really about speed to lead. So I'm really, for me, my automation and everything, I'm trying to get as much information up front as I can. So I want to see if I can get more emails and phone numbers up front, because anything that I've done so far, all the results have come from people I've been able to call right away, or, being able to get them on the phone. So she's like, yeah, my husband and I have been looking for a long time. We've just exhausted our options. We're thinking about firing our other realtor. And I was like, hey, maybe I can help. Why don't we sit down? So they actually fired their realtor because of me. And then they told me at the Starbucks meeting, say, hey, we're looking for something with the shop, and their requirements are pretty straightforward, but they need that thing with the shop. And I was like, I got the perfect home for you. Why don't we go check it out? We go see it. They fall in love. They're like, let's write an offer, $650,000, and then we go pending. And it was just like that. It was like, all it took was that phone call, and that was a $15,000 phone call. So that was my story. And I've been so busy since then. So right now I'm just trying to refine my automations and everything that I need to get my systems going properly. So finally getting to that point.
Thanks, Jay. That's an amazing share. I mean, and that's the key. Sometimes we overthink this. You get a phone number, simply pick up the phone right away. Don't wait for your automations to do its thing, for Julie to do its thing. Just, you get that lead, you see it's a phone number, stop whatever you're doing, unless you're actually running a deal or something, and pick up the phone and see if you can create a conversation. That's the best advice you can take from that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So anybody else want to share or kind of get back into automations, or anybody want to really talk about, I mean, opens is a big thing too, right? And if you're not getting opens, you really got to think about what's happening in that experience. I don't know if anybody's had problems with opens, but that naturally, I find the opens start kind of going down with the subsequent emails, like day 3 and then day 10 and so forth. So got to create call to actions, and not too many emojis would be my best recommendation on those email sequences. I really think your first few emails are the most important anyways. So I would always use your autoresponder when you're not there, but always follow up personally with that person.
One other thing that you always want to do is also, automation is great, but remember, it's a tool. You are the real product. So one of the biggest things I strongly suggest, like I always joke about having a texting Tuesday or whatever day is good for you, go ahead and get that blast out, text them to let them know it's coming from you and not just some autoresponder somewhere. And because I mean, you have to push the relationship further than just relying on an email and a Julie text to go out. So if you send out to them to get the conversation going, it doesn't always have to be about business. You know, Marcus is all about Facebook. So if you're in there Facebook stalking somebody and you see something that you can relate to, or if you can like something on their page or whatever, get your foot in the door that way. But definitely just don't hide behind the automation always at all.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I would measure everything too, because if you're using your autoresponders and you're not getting any response or call to action, then absolutely send it a personal email to that person right after that and measure it. Meaning you need the analytics behind it that's showing it's being opened, number one, that the video is being played, number two, and that if there's a link in there, that is actually being clicked on, number three, right? So personalizing your email, getting that whiteboard out, writing their name on it, putting their name in the subject line, putting their address in the subject line, personalizing everything to that lead is going to be the best way to get that open. And then when they do open that, make sure it's personal as well. Don't create a canned response on the personal side. Personalize it to that home, to that person, to the information you learned about that person and what you're looking to accomplish with that in that relationship.
One other thing, if you're not comfortable messing with Julie or rewriting the whole thing, and this, I'm giving you your Facebook due today, Marcus. If you go look people up, look and see what times they're active. I got people that are on it like between 1 and 3 in the morning because they don't think anybody's up. So if you go look and see what times they're active, go in there and just change the time of delivery for when things are going across to them. Because it's like, if you're calling people at the same time or texting the same time, you get nothing back. That's your first clue. Vary it and just change it. So if it's a morning thing, take it to evening. Just change it up a little bit, because you can go in the automations and change it. But if it's always going the same way and you're not getting nothing, that's the same result you don't want. So just work at what's in there, vary the times for delivery, and see if you can get a response that way.
Also remember, if you're using other funnels other than the seller side, or the buyers are going to have specific ones, the listings don't have anything. So you have to actually create, for every listing that you use on the lead ad side, you have to actually create automations or nothing's going to go out. I know Julianne had that experience from the beginning. So when you're creating a listing ad or a lead ad for that matter, remember you have to create and customize those automations specifically for that call to action, or else there'll be nothing shooting out. Anybody familiar with that or understand that at this point? Awesome. And when you go into, again, from our favorite place to start messing around with automations is going to your My Funnels. And then just, because you got your available templates, that's where you know you launch new ads.
Marcus.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't understand that last segment. I was trying to unmute myself when you was talking about you have to recreate the action if you make any changes.
Yeah, so when you're in your available templates, this is where you launch ads. But when you actually go to your My Funnels, this is where your actual ads are. And this is where you go into edit the automations. So, in any one of these, like if you look at this one right here, these both are on. So if I actually click edit on here, you're going to see here are the automation sequences. And so they're all editable. And again, when we're talking about, you can look in here where it goes the first email and then the quick email, everything is editable from within there. And so if you click on it, you can see how this is all shooting out.
Okay.
Okay. And so what we were trying to say though, is if you were to create let's go back to the funnels. If you were to go to My Funnels, and when did you ever do a listing? Property here? Yeah, you did right here. Okay, new listing in North Las Vegas. So in this case, nothing's there, right? So you would have been pulling in phone numbers or whatever on this ad, but nothing would have been triggered. So if you want to create a trigger, you now change this because you want them to go in sequence, as we discussed, from parallel to sequence, and then you add a trigger. And let's say the trigger this time is, okay, I want to add action. So you would start with the email or text message, whatever you wanted to shoot out first. You click select, and then you can choose an email, and you can choose you can create it, right? Or you can add one of the previous templates. So in this case, you can do whatever you want. Let's just say we wanted to use this one. And then it would start with an off, and then you can create another action. Let's say you want to create this time a text message. and click select. And then you can write but just say hi, but then we'll change it. And then you add that sequence in. Now you have 2, and they're going to go off, and then you can change the time it's being sent. So you want it to trigger, let's just say 3 minutes later after the email. So that's how it would work. It'd be like, okay, in 3 minutes, send this text message after this submission.
Okay.
Right? And then if you wanted to go and change that, you would literally just click on that. And then if you want to create new emails specifically for any type of template you're going to create in the future, you could actually always go to your emails. And this is kind of where all your autoresponders hang out in terms of the email side. And you can create a new email specifically for that listing. So if you want to go create a new email, you can create it from here. And this way it would be automatically in your automations when you go to add it in.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, like with everything, test it yourself before you push the ad live, right? Because you can turn on all your sequences and leave your ad off that you just created, and then go through your own ad and your own funnel and make sure it's firing out the way you need it to and want it to and being delivered. And I always even say, like, you know, take that landing page and share it with a couple of your friends, like maybe even non-realtors, and ask them if that would be something that they would engage. It's the best thing you could do. Share with your family. Hey, you know, would you engage us? Would you feel comfortable? Or would it kind of be weird for you?
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Awesome. Anybody else? This is totally a mastermind, so feel free to kind of engage, unmute yourself, and you can dialogue a little bit more based on your experience so far with those automations, or maybe some help you need, because you have a lot of people in here doing a lot of different things, and there's guys like Leon will be very helpful and insightful for you guys to kind of make sure you're doing the right things, and Wendy and so forth. So yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So lately, I like I said, I'm trying to refine my system more. So I kind of see 2 camps of people who've found success with not with the intro video, but with the actual setting up of the value, like sending the CMA. So I've seen Wendy, she does a really great job of, I believe it was her, or like actually doing the CMA and recording herself, running through the numbers, and like basically giving a lot of value, a lot of content up front. And I've seen people say, hey, that's a little too much, because I want them wanting more. So, I think it's Chris Edward or Chris Williams or something. One of the older guys, like from 2 years ago, his strategy was, he's just kind of pointing out, hey, Zillow's this, Redfin's that. Nobody knows what your home is worth. Let me come over to your place and give you a professional value. So like, what is everyone's like? I would love to hear from people who really found success, and like, do you stand by a certain camp, and like why? Because I'm trying to figure that out.
The video CMA that I do, I kind of do the same thing. I do Zillow, Realtor.com, and Redfin, and they're so all over the place. We're proving to them that, online values are all over the place and they make no sense. So I say I dive right into the MLS, and this is what they're looking at. But to get a true value of your home, I need to actually see your home, and then I have the link below. So I mean, I'm not giving them too much information, but I'm getting in the door, because they want to know more.
I think that's the most important aspect right there, though, that you just mentioned, is the fact that what they're looking for when they click on an online ad that's offering a valuation, they're looking for an instant auto eval. That's what they think that they need, right? We know that that's not what they need. That's what they might want, but what we're offering is, would you like to know what your home is worth, right? For me, sight unseen, it doesn't matter if I'm the best realtor ever known to man. Right? There's absolutely no way I'll be able to nail their true market value, what their home would actually sell for, until I've seen it. Right? And exactly like you did, one thing that I like to do is on those videos, start with the MLS view of when they purchased the property. That should be the first little part that you start on, because you're basically going through, this is the information that only me, everybody else, any online eval site, this is what they have to go on, is what you paid for the property, the condition it is. That's a lot of, and also, comps around the area. But basically you can start with, this is the home in its current condition. This is the home that we think its current condition is in. However, you bought this home 8 years ago, right? So if you want me to go on this information and quickly click through a couple of their photos from when they purchased the property, right? And then reference the fact that I'm sure you guys have done a lot of great work to this property, which has probably improved its value and helped it appreciate. Now, in order for me to, you know, count that into my eval, I'm going to need to see what you've done, right? Different things are going to have different monetary values and help in different ways. So I need to see what you've done. But what you're also doing is saying, if you're just looking for a quick and dirty or an instant evaluation, not a problem. Here are some of the better estimates out there, but keep in mind, they're estimates at best. And it's not that Zillow or Redfin or Truly or Realtor, it's not that they're not good. We'll just say that. It's, you know, it's that they don't have, or at least at this point in time, they don't have a representative coming to your home to actually give you that valuation. And that's where I come in. Right? My evaluation is not going to be any better than what I've been able to show you here until I can get into your property. And then I'll be able to tell you exactly what I think what we should list it for, what it should most likely sell for. And then, you know, highlight and answer any other questions that you may have. Also, I like to kind of add in there, even if you're not ready to sell, I'm able to help you get your home market ready. I'm in homes just like yours every day. Right? So I know the places that buyers, what are they looking for? Are they looking for a basement? Right? Do they want that perfectly finished basement suite? Some of them do, but very rarely. They're looking for kitchens, you know, ensuite bathrooms. They're always looking for something fairly similar, right? So as agents, we have the ability to come in and give them a lot more understanding as to where to spend their money to actually spruce up the home. You know, curb appeal, kitchens, ensuite bathrooms. That's what's going to help sell your home. So don't waste your money doing other things. Let me help you get your home market ready for whenever it is you decide you're ready to sell, right?
That makes sense. And remember, if you're going to say all what Logan said, you don't want to do that in text, an HTML email response, because that people are not going to even entertain that. What Logan just said is going to be completely using video to actually say.
100%, and that's exactly right. Is if you're typing that all up, it's going to be lost in translation, and it's going to sound pretty salesy, to be honest with you, right? So if you are to use your video, once again, you're communicating in such a way, you're a real person talking to another real person, and your emotions, I think it bleeds through a little bit better, and it just sounds like, hey, this person's trying to help me, and that's all we're trying to do is. And I'll even like to throw out there the fact that there is a catch, because there's a catch with anything, and if you don't understand or know what that catch is, it's worse than what it probably is. And in this case, the catch really is, I'm going to give you my time, my energy, my professionalism for free, on the off chance that, or with the catch being, you know, I'm going to win you over with my personality. Really, right? Like I'm going to hopefully provide you such a valuable service that whenever it's time for you to use a real estate agent, you'd think of nobody other than me, who's been here and able to help you. No obligation, no pressure, right? That's kind of the idea. That's the catch. I'm hoping that you choose to use me as a realtor whenever the time comes. Until that time, I'm here to answer any questions that you could possibly have.
And that's kind of your call to action when you say that. So your call to action is to say, I'm providing this, knowing that me giving you something that you need. I would love for, don't be afraid to say that. I would love for me to be the person you think of when the time is, and I understand the timing might not be right yet, but maybe you have a friend or two that you can recommend too. That would be a call to action in a conversation, which we're allowed to ask for, you're allowed to do. And sometimes we get like, we're trying to sheepishly go in there and ask for something. Just come right out and say it, like, I'm doing it. You might sit on it for 2 years, but I understand that. That's about building relationships, and that's what's important. I don't know who said this quote, but I love it when it talks about, if you want to talk to people about what they need, you have to first give them what they want. So give people what they want, and then you earn the right to be able to talk to them about what they need. So they're wanting an automatic home evaluation, give them an automatic home evaluation and serve them that way. And it opens the door for conversations for you to educate them as the professional in this, as to this is what you want. But let me tell you that beyond that, let me talk to you now about what you need. Because what you really need is you need a true evaluation of your home. And this, we know that that's not the best way to get it, but that's what they want. So give it to them. And then you open the door to having a conversation about what they actually need and to become that trusted authority in their life, because you gave them something they asked for and they wanted at the time. But then you explain to them, now this is why you need this part of it.
Another thing that
I was going to jump in here real quick too, Marcus, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
I love that. I think that's so powerful. I'm not sure if you can see my screen or not, but so the beauty of of building out email drips is that exactly what Ira said, is that when you give them what they want, you're earning the right to give them what they need. But that can take a journey. So most people who are coming in through top of funnel marketing, there's always going to be a few people who are ready to go now. But but there's going to be a bigger percentage of people who are going to need, 4 months to get to know you. Email is such a powerful way of staying in front of everybody. So unlike, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, they've made it so that, like, if you post an organic post, unless it's a life event that gets a ton of comments, it's not going to get seen by everybody. So email gets delivered to every single email inbox that's subscribed to you. So over 4 months, 5 months, if you have an email getting sent each week, you're staying top of mind. You're building that trust. You're becoming more and more established. We have, I write an email. I write a few emails every single week, and I'm shocked by, there's people on there who've been subscribed for now maybe like 4 years, and they've been quiet, but they've been following. And so they'll they'll respond and they'll be like, hey, I've been following you for a long time, and I'm really, glad or excited or something changed. And you think, oh, wow, that's amazing. That's powerful. And I get replies every single time I write an email, which is, sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming, but I try to respond to everybody. But it's the power of, building up that network and the influence over time and creating that trust. Because I think trust isn't just, it is about, okay, do I like this person? Do I want to hang out with this person? Do I want to get to know this person? Do I trust them with my business? Do they seem like they would take care of the things that matter to me? Like, if this is my listing, are they going to sell it? Are they going to care for that listing as if I was selling that listing? They want to know those things. Those are all part of trust. But trust is also, are they the same person today as they were yesterday? Are they the same person tomorrow? And over time, that's where the power of automation can really help both transition. So they're taking off a big piece of the workload, but also establish that consistency in the person's mind of, yeah, actually, you know what? I really want to do work with, I want to work with Elizabeth or Ed or Keisha. I want to work with these people because of the fact that they have stayed consistent with me. And I mean, Leon said this last week, but I just want to reiterate, the week before, it's Stacy got that listing because she was the last agent to stay in touch with that guy in Hawaii. That was a $4 million listing. Automations, you can make those automations as long as you want. So you can guarantee that you're the last person that contact ever speaks to or hears from. So it's so powerful. And then the last piece is that there's journeys. So every single email you can have a call to action, but if they don't respond to that action, that's fine, because the next email will help educate them along that journey, like with a call to action, followed by another email, followed by a call to action. So it's, you don't have to, shake the tree so all the fruit falls out right now. There's some fruit that are just starting to ripen, and there's some fruit that are just forming, and there's some buds that are flowering. So you just want to make sure that you're offering that incentive so that you're catching the fruit now, but you always have that net so that when their time of interest peaks, you're there to get it. And so I think that's just, it's such a powerful tool. And the fact is that you're not just building your database, you're ensuring that it's a communication tool that you can get to in front of everybody every week. You can't understate how powerful building your database is. And it's something that just gets bigger and bigger over time.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the thing too, don't neglect that when you have your autoresponder firing and Julie, that should always be taken over by you. And then when you send something personally by email, I recommend go to the Julie automation and personally send a message so they know to go to their inbox. Okay, that's a big takeaway that not a lot of people are doing. So remember, if you have a phone number, this is only if you have the phone number, go to Julie after you sent that personalized email. Let's just say you did that Zillow, Truly, a realtor script, or even a HomeBot type of thing, and personally send a message acknowledging that and Julie will say it for you. You have to use Julie as the context of role play here. Hey, just want to let you know that Wendy just sent an email. Go ahead and check, right? Your inbox, and make sure you check the filters. It's there now, right? So I would do something like that every time you send a personalized email.
So Marcus, how did you come up with the name Julie?
Me.
I'll take that one. Yeah, I believe it was Jonathan, if I'm not mistaken. I think Jonathan is the guru of all that. But I mean, I'll just give a quick little throw out to just my days of door knocking, I guess, and just let you know, me as a gentleman, I would show up, and I was a fairly friendly individual. And I was still told in some fairly sordid words to extricate myself kindly from people's property. It happened all the time, right? People were not as quick to receive me as a man on their property, and it happened. I started bringing my assistant with me just to have a female presence with me, and the response rate was completely different. And the same thing can be said for when I used to cold call. I'd cold call people, and just hearing that man, the manly voice or boyish voice, whatever you want to call it. Same thing, I'd get a lot of hangups. I wouldn't get the same reactions. I had her who was green, as green as they could possibly come. I was terrified having her operate the phones because I wasn't sure, exactly what she was going to say, but the responses she got was so much better, and she was able to set appointments for me. So having the female name already, Elizabeth, you're significantly more likely to get positive responses just that you're a female voice. That's key. So that's why we went with the female as opposed to a male assistant. It just seems to work better. Julie, I think Jonathan, you might want to speak more on to how we landed on Julie. We tested a bunch of names, and Julie's just the one that it's a common name. It's a friendly name, and it's always worked for us. So, and I'm a big believer, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it wasn't working at this stage of the game with how long we've been using Julie, it would have been changed a multitude of times, but it works. And for anybody who's using Julie, obviously chime in and let us know your reactions and your responses. But so far, very, very rarely would I recommend. The only time would I ever recommend somebody change Julie's name is for an agent named Julie, right? Which we have. So if it's, because then it says, hey, whoever their name is, this is Julie on behalf of Julie. It's like, nah, that doesn't work, right? So if your name's Julie, change Julie's name to something else. Keep it female is my suggestion, but certainly recommended to keep with that.
All right, thanks.
I got a quick one I wanted to ask either Marcus or Logan or Jonathan or Ira. So one of the big things, since we're talking automation today, like I'm running a 9-month campaign. I'm going long term because people don't get off the fence right away. So in the automation, is there a way we can see when we no longer have automation going out? Because since we've been talking about building another automation and knowing to set it in sequence and all this good stuff, people would be thinking to go back and look at the leads they have and have another automation set to move them into, because you don't want the drip to just stop and then it cuts it off and they're getting nothing. And everybody's sitting back thinking every month these folks are getting something and they're not. So is there somewhere in the automation that you can go in and look to see who's getting something and who isn't, so they would know to move into a new automation?
Yeah, Jonathan.
So
we
don't have anything right now to enable that. I think the best thing to do, we can almost manually add them to another funnel, but just by filling out their information through a form and then having that connected to an automation. So you could do that, but that's a really good tool. I think that's something we need to actually start investing in and getting out there as well, because I agree. You need to be able to move people from one workflow to the next based on even conversations. So you might be saying, okay, yeah, this is a warm-up automation, and then this is sort of a totally different automation, and this is the automation I might want to send to people that I've done deals with, because or my referral network. So it's you're going to need to build those different workflows. So I agree. I think that's powerful, and so we need to do something like that.
And one thing that I've been on the dev team for, and something that I'd like to see that would be nice eventually, and most likely we'll be able to build something further down the road, no ETA of course, but it would be a divergent automations path where you can have almost 3 structures: yet to speak to, spoke to, close the deal. And after you've spoken with somebody, you pause that automation, move them to a more appropriate, I've already had a conversation with this person. So in 3 months, it doesn't send, hey, I'm still waiting to talk to you, or hey, we need to talk. It's, based on our last conversation, I'm assuming we still have, some questions to answer, things like that. Or people that have closed, you can move them to a quarterly or a semi-annually check-in, where it's just want to check in. How's that new home treating you? Or whatever it is, you can move them. And in time, I'm sure we'll have something like that set up. But, just consider for now setting yourself reminders and things to send timely emails. And you can even have, what I do is I keep a notepad on my computer, right, of different email or text messages that I would like to send based on, the timelines. So if somebody who's been with me for a year, I always set a reminder, a little schedule of just want to make sure I check in, and I can even have a quick little starter that is appropriate for that, right? So in terms of the automations, we'll get there. We've really always focused on the lead gen side of things, and the CRM component was, I don't want to call it an afterthought because that's not necessarily the case, but it's definitely something that we're starting to put a little bit more thought into. And anybody who would like to see anything, not that it can be acted on, right away, but the more requests we're getting for very specific things, the quicker we're able to act on them. So if we know a large portion of you guys are all looking for something like the divergent mailing paths or whatever it may be, we can go ahead and prioritize that. But we don't want to spend all this time and build something that nobody really wants, right? So we're focusing our time and energy on the feedback we're getting from you guys from these meetings, so we understand what direction we need to focus on first. I think that's incredibly important. So always let us know what you're looking for.
Awesome. Hey, we're past the hour here. So before we go, I want to leave you guys with a challenge. Okay. So Wendy was nice enough to let us use her autoresponder, and it's an awesome one. And Wendy, I would actually take that, share it in the group, and share your open rate, share your subject line, share your full body with questions, including the context before the video, the call to action after the video, your messenger, all of it. So people can see how you actually, or you can take a screenshot if you want. And same with everybody here, because we can all rally together and see how we can create the most powerful, impactful, auto-responding email that we could possibly have, both on the open rate, but the most importantly, the call to action to create conversation, to create a relationship. And that all begins with the first impression you give them. So obviously that's always going to be the most important one. And then if you want to share, personal videos, go ahead and do that too, and day threes and all that. But start here, because then we can all rally one each other in this insider group and give feedback.
And the last one I'm going to throw out there then, as far as automation goes, some of you should go look at which automation you're running to make sure you still have something going out to your people. And if you don't, make it a goal like George. I think George is talking about 10 or 15 a day or whatever. Pick a number that's manageable. Go in and find the people in there, look to see 10 a day, and make sure you have something going, because the closed mouth doesn't get fed. And if you're not getting something out to them, they're not going to respond because they won't be getting anything from Julie. So, I mean, it's the easy thing to do.
Awesome. Yeah, so, and Mark asked, where can you see more of these? We have all these recorded on YouTube, and then video script examples. We have a lot of them in the StreetText Academy. But the more you actually put in the insider group, the more we can take and give and put back in the Academy as well. So you want more like this, more like Wendy, more like Marley, and so forth. And everybody's gonna have their own personality in different ways they want to connect. So you don't have to take that one, just use the example. I think the key takeaway is it's short, it's 20 seconds or less. There's a call to action, there's only one question, and the subject line is really easy with one emoji. That's probably gonna produce the highest open rates.
Yeah, and I guess my challenge to everybody is the same thing. I'd like to see more video CMAs, similar to what Mark's asking for as well. So we know that they're working. We've heard great feedback from those that are doing it. So let's start seeing them, start sharing them, so everybody else can start building on them. And the same thing always happens. Somebody who was maybe a little bit nervous to do one, who has great ideas, but maybe not the confidence, if you will, or whatever you will, to start it, they'll see somebody else do it and go, oh, I love that. I would do it a little bit differently though. They'd film it slightly differently, then they put it in there, and then you learn from them as well, right? Yours will get better. We all get better as a group. That's why we do these things. So film your videos, put them in there. The group doesn't have teeth. That's the idea. The only caveat to remaining part of the insider group really is be nice. Don't be a jerk, and you get to stay in there. That's kind of the idea. So constructive feedback is always recommended. You can be honest with people while still being somewhat friendly. So let's try to do that, and share your videos, and let's all get better.
Awesome. All right, we'll let you go. Have a great day, everybody. And any subjects you want us to talk about for the next mastermind, let us know. Put it in the insider group, and we'll make sure to highlight that in next Wednesday.